Actually,
It's Wednesday, August 7th. You're listening to Rolling Thunder Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Ryan.
All right.
All right.
Start this one out with me being a complete dick. How about that? That's fun.
I think we should do some more stories from the road.
More stories from the road?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's... I would say the amount of time we've known each other is very unfortunate that we don't have a lot of, like, road stories together.
It's true.
If you want to tell some road stories, we can. There's some things that I would like to talk about.
Okay.
This episode. I would like to talk. So I did show you a few weeks back, and by a few I mean today when we're recording this, the Osprey MJF match.
Yes.
Which let's talk a little bit of wrestling.
Okay.
I know it's not the most interesting. Please do not tune out right away. We'll make this.
We've lost 3/4 of our audience.
So we lost 3 people. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Mom. Continue.
Same. Sorry, Mom. This is one of the things that we bonded on. We're both like professional wrestling fans.
Yes.
I get a kick out of the number of people that actively dislike professional wrestling.
It's true.
Which I don't.
I think they dislike it for the wrong reasons, or think we like it for...
I think they think we like it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Like those people that are like, it's fake. It's like, yeah, Iron Man doesn't exist either, buddy.
It's
like,
true. What do you mean, Thanos isn't real?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
No, he snapped. We survived. That's
Okay.
We survived. You think of the odds of that? Come on.
Yeah. 5'2" and a quadriplegic. We're doing pretty good, but we're gonna have to repopulate the Earth one day.
I don't think we can do it together. I'm just saying. We could try if you want to. We could try.
It can be like that movie Junior with Arnold Schwarzenegger when they impregnate him.
I totally forgot about that movie.
Yes.
That's,
I often wonder
if they made that nowadays. They couldn't make that nowadays.
No, there's no way.
It'd be transphobic if they made it nowadays.
Someone would get canceled for sure.
It'd be and like ageism, because it'd be Arnold Schwarzenegger now.
Yeah. And he's got to be in his late 60s?
God, 70s, I think.
Yeah.
Think 60s? I don't know. Let's try that. How do you...
Well, you gotta spell his last name.
Okay, S-C-H W-A... I'm just reading it off my screen.
Oh, yeah.
I would have got it wrong for sure. He is...
Drum roll, please.
Oh. This is my fault for looking it up on Bing.
Oh, Bing is terrible, man.
76.
Yeah, so...
76. Oh, actually, by the time we record this, 77.
Nice.
Or by the time this goes to air. Sorry,
Happy
77.
birthday.
He's 77.
Happy birthday, Arnold.
It's his birthday, July 30th.
Happy belated birthday, Arnold.
So, yeah. We actually went to a wrestling show.
Yes.
Back in the, I guess, late spring, early summer?
Mm-hmm.
Went to see AEW Collision.
Yeah, and I found it really funny that we were trying to buy a ticket for yourself, myself,
Oh, fucking...
and my caregiver.
Rogers Arena is the worst.
Yes.
It's the worst.
Yes.
Here, I know we were discussing how you want to talk about accessibility issues.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a fun accessibility issue. Want to go to a hockey game or any event at Rogers Arena?
You're only allowed to go with one other person.
Yeah. If you're in a wheelchair, hey, I hope your parents are divorced and one of them's cool. Like, you know how many friends you're allowed having? One, because you have multiple wheels, okay? I don't know what to, like, what kind of bullshit is that?
I don't know. It's wheelchair phobic. That's what it is.
Wheelchair phobic. He might run me over.
He might touch me and I might wake up in a wheelchair the next day.
I'm pretty sure that doesn't happen. I'm not saying that's not how it works. I'm saying I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. I don't know. I don't let you touch me. So, you know, that's... Or do I?
Or do you? I'm not sure. Yeah, it's always amazed me, even as a kid. Like, I'd always have to do something with my dad or my mom. It can never be my dad, my mom, and my sister and me.
Yeah.
Unless it was like a water park. But then I would just watch them go on slides.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I'm not supposed to drive my wheelchair close to the water. And yeah, so...
Ryan's beach day.
Yeah.
By beach, we mean you're sitting on tarmac.
And where only half my body gets tanned because the other half I'm sitting on the whole entire time. Yeah. It's quite funny.
You know what? I never even considered that till right now.
That's why if I wanted to go streaking in college, I would get my buddies to sit me on a photocopier and we'd photocopy my ass and my back and the back of my head, and then we'd stick it to the back of my chair, and then I could go streaking.
That sounds like way too much work.
It really is.
Yeah.
Mostly because I'm pretty heavy and I'd break every photocopier we tried to sit on, which was one. We did it one time, and I never did it again.
There was a TV show. We're gonna get back on track at some point. There's a TV show I used to watch when I was a kid called John Callahan's Quads. You ever seen that one?
Yes, I have.
Okay. I felt odd asking my quadriplegic buddy that question.
Yes.
But that show was hilarious.
It was the only cartoon I related to.
Yeah.
Well, that and Transformers, because I thought my dad was Optimus Prime when I was a kid. So... that's another story for another day, and it probably involves my therapist.
All right. So we're both wrestling fans.
Yes, we are.
We went to Rogers Arena.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, here, this you wanted to talk about some story. I mean, it's not like a comedy road story, but this was... I ordered the ticket. By the way, it took me a week, and I knew... fucking... because AEW does not sell well right now, which... I kind of understand, like, WWE is very hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
AEW is at a point where, the in-ring work is incredible with that company.
It's a way better product.
We saw 2 matches on that show that were, like, blow away pay-per-view quality on what was regular television. One was, like, a dark match where it was, like, dude, that match... was great. And took me a week to order it because every time I was ordering, I'd see the seats available. I would pick them.
Yes.
I'd hit next, and then it'd be like, these seats are not available. Yeah. And I'm like, am I buying the same time as another quadriplegic is buying? Like
every single time.
Every time? What is going on? And it literally took me a week to read the fine print where it says you can only buy one accessible chair and one, what do they call it?
Wheelchair spot. Let's just call it that.
Well, it's a wheelchair spot and then like yes, companion. Thank you, voice in the back. Thank you, voice in my head. I should take credit for that. That was not your lady eavesdropping on our podcast.
No.
A companion seat, thank you. It's a companion seat.
I should know that, and I don't even know that. I'm disabled. That's how terrible it is.
And I literally called you. I go, who is your care aide that day? And like, because I was going to buy your seats, and then I was going to buy like 3 rows up and then over a bit because that was what was available in the stands, and be like, I might not be able to hang out with you down below, but like I can kind of sneak over and just say hi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'll buy the tickets. We'll hang out before and after. And you're like, dude, fuck that. Like, Michael doesn't even like wrestling. Fuck him. Don't buy him a ticket. Just you and I.
Pretty much what happened.
And
that is the first time that Chris had to touch my wiener. Because handicapped people gotta pee.
By the way, horrendous body, perfect cock. I was amazed.
Thank you. Insert the applause in the background when you're editing this thing.
I don't know which button's the applause on this, and I'm not going to hit around because
that's too bad.
We're not adding drops, all right?
I would take a bow, but I'd fall out of my wheelchair. So
yeah, but then you'd be held up by your cock. So it's all good. It's all good. So yeah, it was just you and I that went. Michael didn't come, which fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I had a blast, but I remember. So we met at the at a mutual SkyTrain station.
Yes.
And then trained up, and then we get to the train and find out at the station the elevator up to the street level not working.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
And I was just like, I guess we're going through the mall. Like, so we kind of like cut through the mall. I find like the closest elevator, and fucking moron me, it doesn't go up to the street. It goes down to parking. And I'm just like, no, turn around. And we're like in this small corridor. There's like people behind you. I'm like, sorry about this. Turn around, Ryan. Like, we gotta go the other way.
Yes.
Walk out. I like asked information. Where's an elevator to this? She tells me, and then I look and I realize I can see Dunsmuir Street, like down at the end. So I'm like, let's just go out Dunsmuir. We'll head straight there, and we go to Dunsmuir, and then we just head straight down Dunsmuir to like Rogers Arena. And by the way, this is like going to events with you is fucking awesome. Like.
It was. We did get really good service.
For me, like, the parking's great. We literally. So we walk down Dunsmuir. We get to Rogers Arena, and it basically was the scene from Goodfellas. All of a sudden, like we show up. There's like a gate there, and I kind of like look around the corner, like, are people walking in that gate? No. And I kind of like point, like, I think we got to go this way. And all of a sudden this door just swings open. And this lady goes, are you guys coming to the show? And I go, we are. And she's like, you can come through here. And then like a few other people come behind it. And she's like, not you, not you, just them. Like, she's basically like, fuck you guys. No. Just these two are allowed.
It's true.
And we walk in, they're straight up like, don't worry about the metal detector. Like, we could have went in and caused chaos.
Yeah,
like,
I could have brought a machete.
Crazy. It's crazy.
I could have stabbed somebody and they wouldn't let me through.
Dude, the way your arms are, the only person you're stabbing is yourself. Like, let's not...
True story.
So,
I'm a real boy.
we go in and literally scan our tickets, and she goes, oh yes, we were made aware of you. And I'm like, huh? What do you mean you were? Yeah, we were made aware of you guys. I'm like, okay. And we go down, and she's like, we had to walk so far to the elevator.
It's true.
And I was like, where are we going? We go to this elevator. We're like brought down to like this VIP area, and then they walk us through backstage like as quickly as possible. Like there's guys like you see them like stretching, warming up. I'm like, hey, look, there's Marks. Yeah, get out. Like, meanwhile, I know because of my history. Like I used to ref on the Indies. Yes. Here in Canada, and used to do some like manager work. So I knew guys at the show. I knew people working like with the crew at the show, and I knew people in matches at the show. Like multiple people. Funny enough, the very first match that happened on that card was like for Ring of Honor, and I remember leaning over to you and going like, I've known her, and then I like had to do the math, and it was like, I've known her 21 years, and you're like, what? And I was like, yeah, man, like,
yep, yeah. I was with a celebrity, and I didn't even know.
And so we like get whisked in, and then we are sitting right beside the TV production crew,
like right in the middle of it.
Like, yeah, No, literally in the middle. You are right. Literally in the middle. But they had like all the soundboards and that were like directly to my left.
Yeah.
I could have leaned over, hit a button, and a firework would have went off. And I was like, this is crazy that they're just like, you guys are good here? All right, cool. No one, even like the usher person who was sitting, she wasn't watching us. No. She was hilariously getting more and more into the show as it went on.
That was one of my favorite parts, actually. I was going to bring that up.
She's like, I hate wrestling. Like, the second we got, I hate wrestling. And I got to sit here and, like, by the time the last match, she's like, fucking get him! Get him!
Yeah.
So a heel would do something. That's bullshit! I'm like, all right, relax, lady. It's just a show.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was also really funny when we ran into some fellow comedians at the show, and one of them wanted to come over and say hi.
It was just by chance. I had to run up. I think I got us drinks.
Yeah.
And when I went up there, I look over, and there's Chris Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
And I like walk over, and he's like, what are you doing? I go, I'm here with Ryan. He's like, Ryan, who? I'm like, who the fuck do you think? Mm-hmm. LaChance. And he's like, really, where? And I go, we're down kind of by the production. I even said to him, like, I don't have to let you down because, like, technically we're on the ground level. Because he's like, oh, I'm in the stands. And, like, yeah, they wouldn't let... He's still upset about that to this day.
To this day, I ran into him last week, and he was still talking to me about it. He's like, it's bullshit. They should have came over and let me say hi.
That's because you people are only allowed one friend.
Yes.
At Rogers Arena, you're only allowed one friend.
We figured it out. That's the code.
Or one parent. Either way, one parent must have died in a tragic accident that left you in your condition. So,
but to be fair, you weren't in your seat, so I wasn't with anyone. So you should have been able to come over to occupy your seat.
That's true. That's true. I think I'd have to occupy his seat, and like this. Yeah. This is how movements get started, I think.
Yeah, that's how the whole Rosa Parks things on the back of the bus started. It was some dude that she had to get up for because he's in a wheelchair. And she's like, oh, I'll just move to the front of the bus. And they're like, no, you can't sit there. And they're like, and she's like, well, what about the guy in the wheelchair? Where he's going to go? And that's how... That'd be funny if that was true, but it's not. I'm going to get canceled for saying that. But anyway, it's cool.
Oh, I'm not editing that out. But yeah, and then we had a blast at the show.
Yeah, it was a great time.
It was a great time.
Mm-hmm. I was surprised with how long it lasted.
Oh, it was like a 4.5 hour show.
I know, it was crazy. It's longer than most concerts I've been to.
Because they did like 3 TV tapings.
It's true.
Is what they did. And it was, so they did like a bunch of Ring of Honor TV tapings before Collision.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did Collision, and it was, I don't know what was going on. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, NHL playoffs probably.
Yeah.
So they were airing Collision and Rampage, which Rampage is normally Friday nights. Collision is Saturdays. They were airing them back to back.
Okay. So
we got Collision and then Rampage, and then they finished doing Ring of Honor after that.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, I knew a bunch of the local guys that were there.
It was really cool to kind of get behind the fourth wall of wrestling for me for a while.
Yeah, it was very fun because like one of my a lady that I worked with who wrestled as Raven Lake, who's an absolute gem of a person. Her daughters are both wrestlers and both very good. Samantha Hall, I don't know if she wrestles as Bambi Hall or Samantha Hall, and Liza Hall, and they're both very good. And Liza was like working with the crew, like kind of volunteering.
Oh, she was
with the crew, and I was just like, Liza, and she turns around, she's like, Chris, what are you doing?
Yeah, she was the one standing by the gate. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I've never been the type who's like, I guess in hindsight, I probably could have messaged some people and been like, I'm with my friend, he's in a wheelchair, can we come backstage?
Yeah,
I should have done that.
That's the time you use my wheelchair, not to get a fucking extension on a hotel room. And I'm
Are we
bringing
on that a week later? Are we still on that?
Yes, we are. We're going to be on that until episode 102 of this podcast.
All right, I'll hold you to that.
Okay.
I'll hold you to that.
People will start
2
making
years.
a drinking game every time I bring it up in the podcast. They're going to start taking shots. I'm not promoting the use of alcohol, but if you want to, in the safety of your own home, feel free.
Yeah, I don't even know how we got on talking about wrestling, but
Well, it happened, like the most of the times it happens with us. We just say, fuck it, and we start talking about wrestling.
that's true. We're going to try not to do that, but it is very interesting, like what you have to go through accessibility wise.
Yeah.
And like the fact that they literally placed us in the middle of the production team, like to your right, they had a printer that was going off nonstop. So like you'd see people wronging, and then I started singing a song anytime one of the gaffers was like grabbing the gimmick. I started singing the song "Gimmick Guy."
Yes,
Gimmick Guy, bringing the gimmicks to the back.
That was one of my favorite parts of the show too. Is every time we got to bring that up.
Yeah, you got to see Will Ospreay live.
Yeah, in which it's like watching poetry in motion. He's just really good at what he does. It's always fun watching people that are at the top of their art form performing their art, no matter what it is.
I refer to him as spectacular because I think it's like it's a spectacle what he does.
Yes.
In that, like, he does a bunch as all of my friends in that business would call it, he does a bunch of flippy dippy shit. He is incredibly athletic.
Yeah, and his balance is crazy too.
Yes, and can do things that like gymnasts would do, and except in the ring, putting his body on the line.
Well, while throwing a 300-pound man around the ring.
That too. So it was like seeing him live was like, yeah, this guy's. It's weird because I've seen guys live that I do not like on television.
Yeah.
That I see him live, and I'm like, nah, this guy's real good. Like, Baron Corbin was a guy who, like, I liked the Lone Wolf gimmick when it was in NXT. I was bummed out about how they brought him up to the main roster initially. And then I hate that this whole podcast is about wrestling right now. I feel really bad.
I love it because I know how much you hate it that it is right now.
But it's one of those things where, like, you know, there's a difference. Even in what we do, like, there's such a difference between, like, watching a comedy special and then going and seeing it live.
Oh, I agree.
And
I
like,
agree.
I'm not the type who does crowd work. Like, so I'm not the type who's like, I got to get these clips. I got to talk to the crowd. Like, that's not me at all. And because of that.
Yeah, you're a pure joke writer.
Like,
Whereas I have to talk to the crowd a lot of the time because I don't prepare well enough to
because your memory sucks.
Yeah. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we are.
Hopefully we'll have something down the pike coming for you.
Yeah, we have to polish the turd that is my act.
That's right. Hey, you said it, not me.
I know I'm allowed to say it because that's how I feel about it most of the time.
Nah, it's great.
My act is like, to put it in a term that someone would understand, it's like when you
build a house but put like the windows up first and then
you forget to put doors on it. Yeah, that's my act.
Where's the structure? Where's the structure?
To be fair though, no one ever taught me how to write, so I don't know.
Now I have a question. So this weekend is that right? August 9th. So yeah, this weekend you're Nanaimo, doing the Nanaimo Fringe.
Yes.
Does that mean you've been working on like the act for that specifically. Like you're only doing a half an hour because it's a 2-person bill,
Yeah.
right? But do you have like an actual structured act for this?
Yes, I do, because for a couple of the shows, we have a sign language interpreter on the stage with us.
Oh, so you need that then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they need to know what we're gonna say, not word for word, but just the
gist of it,
basic bones of it. Yeah, because even I don't know when I'm up there and one of the pictures comes up from my childhood or some point in my life, what is gonna come out of me.
Yeah.
Which will be interesting to have that for the sign language interpreter, which, if you'll bear with me here, when I did the Halifax Comedy Festival taping, my first live taping for television, I had to send them in my 10 minutes that I did, like a couple months ahead of time, and then I practiced that set religiously up until the taping, and then the day of the taping, I
forgot what jokes you were. No,
yeah,
okay.
I literally I didn't forget the
you
jokes.
forgot the order.
I forgot the order, and I looked at
That I knew because, like, when you showed me the set, which I thought was a great set, by the way, and
Thank
it's
you.
funny because we're at a point where I can come at you like critically,
yeah,
and you understand, like, I know you're fucking funny.
yeah,
I don't gotta sit there and stroke you off.
No.
Hey man, you're fucking fun. Like, so I literally, the first thing I said was like, if I was you, I would have just flipped these 2 jokes. And I remember you just turned to me and you went, "That was originally the plan. I fucked up the order."
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all right, buddy. Like,
yeah. So that's what I have to just get used to doing.
yeah,
Especially if I want to take my career further. It just needs to be more structured, or at least have an idea of where the beginning, middle, and end is. As far as the other parts of it, I can, depending on how much time we get, obviously we have freedom to do things.
yeah.
But I'm really legitimately working hard at trying to organize it that way. But for 25 years, I've basically just gone up there and given them Ryan. And I know now, personally, because I want to take it to the next level, I can't.
That we're sick of it? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, I'm sick of it, man. I'm like,
Dude, I know that feeling. I know that feeling.
I'm like, do I have to tell another wheelchair joke? Oh, man. No, but the other thing that's interesting about that too is how my thought process and my writing has changed over the years. Like, when I first started, it was so heavily based around my disability because I didn't really have any life experience in the industry yet.
Yeah.
So I just made wheelchair joke after wheelchair joke. And then I realized it wasn't the fact I'm in a wheelchair that made me funny. What made me funny is the fact I'm just a funny person. So I was able to kind
But
of...
also that you're in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to deny that fact. Like, I would be the ultimate contestant and last comic standing because I'll never stand. So I'm always going to win that contest.
I will say the amount of work that you've done on getting like your speech to where it is.
Thank you.
Because it's like, I wouldn't say you were unintelligible because you weren't, like, but it's like the crowd doesn't have to, it's a double-edged sword because the crowd doesn't have to pay attention as hard to you as like, the first 5-6 years that I knew you.
Oh, yeah.
Borderline the first decade I knew you. Like,
yeah, I would agree with
like
that.
I would say post-COVID.
Yeah.
Like, you've really worked fucking hard on that. And you be proud of, like, the work that you've put in.
Thank you.
Because it's like I
means a lot.
said last week, like, the fact that the AI is transcribing you pretty accurately, I'm
Yeah.
like, thank you, because that makes my job way easier.
Mine too.
In the edit.
I don't have to send a message 17 times to get my point across
Yeah.
anymore. But yeah, at the same time though, like you said, when they did have to pay more attention, that was a gift and a curse.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons like I said in the last episode, why I started saying, hey fuckers, what's going on? Because I wanted that first punch to be like,
Yeah, right away.
yeah, right away.
Right away.
And kind of set the tone for the rest of the show. So,
It's, absolutely.
because I don't, when I first started, I honestly felt like I would get laughs, but I would get more laughs than I deserved because I think people were laughing almost because, I hate to say it, but they were feeling bad for me because of my situation, which I never want someone to feel bad for me because I live a good life, I have really good friends and a lovely family, and I'm not ever gonna be bitter towards about being in a wheelchair or anything like that. But I do have my struggles
Yeah.
with it. I mean, I'm not this happy-go-lucky guy in a wheelchair all the time because if I was, it wouldn't be real. And I'm not even on stage. As much as I try and be upbeat and happy-go-lucky on stage, if I really want to bring people into my world, I have to be able to show the other side, be able to show the frustration, the depression, the just straight up fucking sadness.
The horniness,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, it's important.
Yeah.
And I think in today's society too, people want to see that. They don't want me to just go up there and be like, every punchline be because I'm in a wheelchair or whatever.
There is definitely more seeking of like depth.
Yeah.
In a comedic act
nowadays.
Like you don't have to be joke. I like being joke. But I also like being, like pretty critical of situation. And like, I like talking about topics that are, borderline taboo. At least the way that I talk about it, it ends up being borderline taboo,
Yeah.
But it's like, there's no malintent behind it. It's, it's...
Well, one thing that I learned about myself, I learned from a really good friend of both of ours that is no longer with us, Matt Billen. He pulled me aside one day, and he's like, "You're funny because you're funny." He's like, "You're not funny because you're in you have a disability," and he's like, "That's why a lot of comedians respect and like working with you is because you were just one of us, straight up funny." So, and once I understood that, it really opened my eyes to, oh yeah, I only have to mention being in a wheelchair maybe once or twice, and the rest of the time I can just make jokes about whatever I want to talk about, which is very freeing as a performer, because for a long time I felt pigeonholed and felt like I was always just going to be an opening act and things like that. And now I get to headline all over the country, which is a really awesome experience, but at the same time, that's why we have to polish the turd that is my act, because I have that responsibility now.
I will say it was very interesting. Like the first time I was there, I think maybe the second night where you had your very first headline weekend of a club. And we had discussed how, because I've been headlining clubs since 2019.
Yeah.
So I had like a 4-year head start on you on that. But it's because I wasn't, like, you were pigeonholed. 100% you were pigeonholed. And that kind of shit always pissed me off. I've always been like, it is funny because, like, if you saw my act, you might think, probably, you might pick up on some slight misanthropy.
Yeah.
Some people might suggest bigotry, although I promise it's not there. Like, but again, because of the topics that I broach and the way that I do it,
Yeah.
it's I do it in a way that it's funny to me.
Yeah.
And if it's just funny to me and not funny to the audience, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
Like
no,
I had that discussion with my lady one time because I was doing a joke, and I just it's a joke that's in my act right now. I offhand said it doing a newspaper interview.
Yeah.
And like I was just explaining about what winters were like in my hometown juxtaposed to Vancouver.
Yes.
And like why I like them, but like how it kind of makes what the people are like in that area.
Builds you
And-
yeah.
And it was I wouldn't even say it was a taboo joke, but like she was like, that's kind of ableist, and I was like, I'm not actually trying to make fun of anyone here, but like they totally printed it. Like it's imprint, and it's imprint not that long ago either, which is the funny thing to me. Like it's not that long ago in like a way that someone would pull up and I'd be like, hey, yes, I said that. They still printed it. Like they didn't have to print that line. I thought I was joking around with the journalist at that moment. I was like, they're not going to print this. Like it's just one of those things.
And then they go and do it.
Totally printed it.
Yeah.
And
controversy sells papers.
That too. I listen. I also told her I would rather a bunch of people be upset with me and me plead my own case, because that would probably lead to more ticket sales. So, but I'm not out to do that. So like that doesn't happen a lot with my act.
Yeah, no,
like
I understand.
It's very rare. It's very rare people get upset. In fact, a lot of times, like when we did Barrier, you know, there was that lady that came up after the show and was like,
the one that was
thank you for doing those jokes. Like I really appreciate it. And I was like she got it. Oddly enough, like the crowd got it. They were, they were a very interesting group.
They were a small town crowd. So
they were a small town crowd, but they were a good crowd. I think the thing with them is they didn't know how to be a good crowd. Like they were good in the fact like they were there for the show.
Well, we knew that was going to be the case when we got there, because I remember one of the first things that someone said to me when we first sat down to get something to eat before the show, and they're like, "Oh, we don't get many outsiders here," and right from there, I was like, "This is going to be a different kind of show."
Yeah,
you know, so
the Kamloops one was like a blow-away, awesome show.
Yeah.
But like, so watching you do watching you headline for the very first time, I was having a very candid conversation with someone. Like they were asking what I thought about your act. And I had just said like, dude, Ryan's, first of all, he's funnier than both of us. He has the time. I go, there's just no structure to it right now.
Yeah.
And it kind of hurts what he's doing at this position, but he's more than talented enough that he's going to piece that together, and then it's fine. Because like you as a feature, like people hate having you as a feature because you will go up there and crush, and then they are like, I can't believe I have to follow this.
Yeah, which always makes me feel good, but yeah.
And I remember having like just one of like the weekly shows where I had a good enough set that not the comic after me, but the comic after that was not doing well. And someone was like, bring back the kid. And I had said to that comic after, I was like, man, I'm sorry that happened. Like, that's so shitty that they did. Because I was like, I don't want that. I want the crowd to like
everyone.
Like everyone, you know?
Like the show as a whole.
And by the way, it was a very funny comic. It's not like it was a bad comic. And man, he was like, dude, fuck you. Like, you should be trying to be the funniest one. And I was like, not that I completely disagree with that, but I'm working on my own thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not working to show up everyone here. I'm working on my own thing. I'm working on my act because I'd be able to go on the road and hold the space for an hour 10.
I understand. Yeah.
And actually have the crowd there for the full hour, because that's another animal too, is like that club headline set that's, 40 to 50 compared to like actually hitting an hour and having the crowd still with you for the full hour.
Yeah, it's a different animal.
It's a different animal. But like, after those shows, like we would debrief and you'd be like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And then like, I watched you piece together your opening, like just within those 3 shows.
Yeah.
And I remember making like a suggestion after the 3rd show where like you ended up telling this story it was like a brief story, but I was like, you realize this fits with this and that, and you should just use this here. And like, that's what you're doing now. Right. And it's like crushing. And it's like I'm not saying that to take any sort of like, you would have figured that out on your own,
Yeah.
but it's like, you are polishing the turd.
I really am.
And it's like, it's why I'm excited that we'll be working together more. It's why I'm excited that, we have this show October 18th and 19th at Yuck Yucks, Surrey. Go to yuckyucks.com, purchase tickets.
Yeah. I agree with you. It makes me want to work more because I'm putting the effort in.
And it's like, if it wasn't for the structure of our show, like, I don't mind. I like going last. I don't mind. Like, one of the things that was pitched to me, if we weren't doing Rolling Thunder that weekend, was that you'd be the feature act. And I'd totally be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I know you would crush so hard. It would make me have to work hard.
Yeah.
And I prefer that.
I know. I'd rather work with comedians that bury me every time because it makes you become a stronger performer.
Yeah.
Rather than I never want to.
You were getting hot at me back in April.
Yeah. I was
you were like,
say,
"What are you gonna crush so hard?" I didn't even have the heart to tell you. Like, I haven't been on stage in like a month and a half. Like,
well, I have a really funny story about that, and I don't know how much time we got left.
let's tell that, and then let's get out of here. I did want to talk about like a few things, but like,
okay, no. What do you want to talk about? We can save my story for another day.
Let's save your story. I think this ends up in like a 15-minute rant if I get into this. Just the sheer level. So, I mean, what's going on in the States politically is like crazy to me.
Yeah.
In so many forms. To in a way get back to wrestling. The fact that last month during the RNC, Hulk Hogan was on stage. Did you see Hulk Hogan at the Republican National Convention?
No, I did
You did not see that?
No.
Oh my God. I'm not going to we're going to finish this podcast.
Okay, and then you're going to show me? Okay.
I'm going to tell you about it right now.
Okay.
I'll show you after the podcast.
Okay, sounds good.
It's literally, so I got wind of it. My clients at work, I have clients who watch CNN all the time. Like, that's all they watch is the news.
Okay.
And I got wind through that like Hulk Hogan is going to be at the Republican National Convention speaking before Donald Trump.
Wow.
And I was like, really, which the day before, like the head of the Teamsters was on stage explaining, here's why the Teamsters are voting Republican, which they've never voted Republican.
Yeah.
Like, and all the things that they were running on, it was hilarious because like no one was applauding to like, and we need better wages and better, you know, it's a bunch of business owners there. Like, I don't want to pay more money. Higher taxes? Dude, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
It was so funny.
You're talking about the opposite of what we want.
And it's like, you should be at the Democratic National Convention, not the Republican National Convention.
That's funny.
So literally a client got wind of it, and the client was like, Hulk Hogan. And I was jokingly like, if he doesn't open with, you know, let me tell you something, brother, I'm going to be very disappointed. And the video that I showed my lady, they cut out the music because it's on YouTube.
Okay.
So, like, as they're bringing him up, like, you hear the crowd chanting USA. That's not what was happening. No. I Am a Real American was playing.
Yeah.
I am a real American.
Did he tell everybody to take their vitamins too?
Dude, he comes up, he literally walks up, gets to the stage, and I made it home just in time to watch this. Like, I sit down, and it's like, oh, they're playing Real American. Like, this is the perfect timing. And I sit down, and he walks up, and he gets to the podium, and he's like, now let me tell you something, brother. And I jump out of my chair. And I'm like, unbelievable.
That's awesome.
I was so entertained because it was dead on. And the real Americans, brother. Like, we're real Americans. That's why I'm voting Donald Trump. He tore off his shirt to show like a Trump Vance shirt underneath.
Oh.
Like, was wearing a jacket, threw off when they tried to kill Trump, throws the jacket off. You don't do that. Tears off the shirt. Like, dead on. It wasn't Terry Bollea. It wasn't the guy who plays. It was Hulk Hogan on the stage.
Yes.
Which, as a wrestling fan, I loved it. I wish for sheer entertainment.
Yes.
I loved it.
I can't wait to watch it now.
As someone who thinks about the logistics of that and what that means for the future of our species, it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
That they have a professional wrestler and like the Democratic National Convention is coming up. I'm pretty sure they're having one. Man, you know, I'd get The Rock out there for Kamala Harris. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, why have The Rock out there? The Rock says this.
Well, it's amazing that American...
If you're a Republican, you take that vote, you shine it up real nice, turn that sumbitch sideways, and stick it straight up your candy ass.
I would love that.
Oh, so great. I'm getting pussy hair all over my shirt. Here's your cat. Yeah, it's dude, it's one of the most wild things I've ever seen.
I can't wait to watch it now.
I'm gonna show it to you.
Yes.
Once we're off air.
That sounds good.
We should wrap this up. Did you want to tell the story? Do you want to save it for another time?
I'll just save it for the.
You save it for another podcast. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be back next week with another episode.
Yes, we will.
Rolling Thunder. By the way, so starting today, and I'll even post it ahead of time, but we do have an email address.
Yes.
So if you want to email in, we'll read your emails.
Answer your questions.
On air, answer your questions on air. The email address, right now, we're in the process of getting like an actual website and that. So right now, the email address is rollingthunderpod@gmail.com. So rollingthunderpod@gmail.com. Send it to us. We'll read out your questions on air.
Well, Chris will read them because they never told me how to read.
You know how to read. Knock it off. All right. That's it for this week's episode. I'm Chris.
I'm Ryan.
Have a great one.
Bye.